Hey everyone, welcome to Build for Everyone session. Today we are going to talk about Android and web accessibilities. And this is Abhinandan. I have developed a couple of popular Android applications, and you can find them on Google Play Store. And you can also connect with me on Twitter and LinkedIn as well. So let's move on. Why accessibilities? Right? So about 15% of the world population have some form of disabilities, right? That is more than 1 billion people. And the common condition that affects these user or people are blindness, deafness, color blindness, restricted motion skills, and so on. This is just a partial list, right? So, why it is important? Uh, you all know accessibility is an important part of any application. Whether you are developing a new application or improving an existing one, we must ensure that our user can perceive, understand, navigate, and interact with apps. Right? It is quite similar to the acronym POUR. For that stands for perceivable, operable, understandable, and robust. Right? So by integrating these features and services, we can improve our app usability, particularly for the people with disabilities. And the very common issues that we find with the app with less accessibilities are missing labels, inadequate targets, and poor contrast ratio for the background and the foreground activity or web page. Say, for example, for the touch target, you might be see some sort of advertisement on your web page or your Android application, and to close that advertisement, there is a close button, right? And you might notice that some developers deliberately or indeliberately uh, reduce the size of that close button, right? And whenever you try to click on that button, it just misclicked on the other part of the advertisement and redirect to the ad as well. So it is one of the common issue that people faces, and I just try to relate that thing with the advertisement part, right? So what are their benefits? Why you must have to address these issues, right? So as I told you earlier, 15% of the world population has some sort of disability, huh? And people with disabilities depends on apps and services that support them to communicate, learn, and work, right? So by making your app more accessible, you can reach more users. And another use case will be, for example, you have implemented a voice command in your application, right? And it will help with the people with disability to interact your app, right? But it can also be helpful to the people, normal user as well. So imagine you are using your app while driving or cooking, and you have to perform some action. At that point, if your application have voice command, you can simply say a voice command and it will do the current task, right? And one of the most common example for that will be the Google Assistant as well. So you just take the okay Google and perform your action without touching your phone, right? So by enabling such feature in your app, you automatically adding a app versatility in your app, right? So today in our session, we are going to focus on Android and web accessibilities. So here is our first code lab for the Android. So it is all about starting Android accessibilities. So I recommend all the participants to scan the QR code to open the code labs, and I have also linked that code labs in the description as well. So once you do that, it will look like this. Okay, so this code lab will focus on the same common issues. So make sure you have the Android Studio setups and all. Just go on to the next step and scan this repo from the GitHub. There is two versions for that. One is the starter version and another one will be the final version. You can go through all these code lab section. Okay, so one more thing you required for this code lab is this application, accessibility scanner. So just open your Google Play Store and download this application. Okay, so once you do that, navigate to your setting and open accessibilities. Here you can see in the downloaded apps, just enable that setting. Okay, just give access to the application. Now you're seeing it blue tick mark in your screen. Now in this application we are going to develop a counter app which will perform adding and decreasing the counters of the screen. Okay, so here is the app. Just synchronize the whole application and run this application. It will look like this. Now you have to simply tap on the blue tick and select snapshot. It will scan the whole screen and give you suggestion based on that. Okay, so for this example it is giving us 6 suggestions, and you can go through from the suggestion from here, or you can simply tap on that partial as well. Okay, so the very first suggestion is about text scaling. So the current text item text size is unit is VIP, and it recommended us to use SP, right? And if you want to know more about the same, you can simply tap on here and learn more about the same. Okay, so how the text scaling works in application and how you can improve your accessibility, right? And the next accessibility will there. So it is elementary, and there we have 2 suggestions. The first one is about text about the label, icon label, and another one for the touch target, right? So for item label, you can see it is suggesting us to add a new tag in our XML file, android.content description in our that particular view, and right, and another one will be on touch target. So to address the touch target, we can include padding around that icon, or we can simply set a width and height about a bigger size. Like it's suggesting us to give you 48 dp and 48 width and 48 dp height, right? So this is for your work. I'm just giving you overview, and the last part will be this one, and here it is giving us the suggestion about the text contrast. Okay, so the current contrast ratio is 2.46:1, and it suggests us to change this to 4.50:1, and you can learn more about the text contrast from here. And it is telling about text views and color background. You can learn more by putting it here. Just give it a quick look, and here there is a color edit section. So here you can see the color hexacode about that view, and you can change the setting accordingly, right? So this is just basics. So you have to make sure you complete all these steps. Okay, let's give you another example about the same, how you fix the contrast. So here is another screen about the insufficient contrast screen, and when I tap on snapshot, it's again giving me the same session about the text contrast. Right now, let's fix the contrast issue. Now I have fixed the contrast issue by changing the background color to more bright and text color to more darker shade. Now there is no contrast suggestion, right? So in this way, we can scan and address the accessibility issues. And you might be wondering about the record button as well. So in the example, we mostly deal with the static activity. So if you have an activity with more animation or more elements that are in motion, you can perform record, and it will give you a suggestion based on that clip, right? And one more thing, like see the so let's give another example about the touch area. Make sure you enable the developer settings by tapping on page number and just move on to here, show label bounds. Okay, so it is giving you overview about the margins, paddings, and about the elements. With this, you can get to know about the target area, and you can see here is very small touch target area, right? And you can address that thing as well. Okay, so now I'm going to close that thing. Okay, in this way you can get to know about what is the touch area of that particular view and how it behaves on clicking, right? Okay, so that is all about this current Android accessibility. So just go through the code labs and perform them, the code lab, and once you do that, make sure you go through the resources as well. It is quite helpful and it has more advanced feature and topics about the accessibilities, right? So let's move to the next part. So next part is about web accessibilities, and here we are going to fix the low contrast text with Chrome DevTools. So most of the web developers might be familiar with the DevTools. It is built in most of the browser. So I recommend all the participants to scan this given QR code, and I have linked the same code lab in the description as well. Okay, so it will look like this. Okay, so just go through the introduction and make sure your Chrome version is above 87 or right. So just open this website and it will look something like this. So in this code lab, we are going to emulate a visual deficiencies, right? So open the Chrome DevTools by Command Shift and C in Mac OS, and for the Windows you can click Control Shift and I. You can also tap on right click and then also use inspect button as well. Okay, so here it is a particular element in our web page, and here is style sheet. So in the example, we are going to emulate the visual deficiencies. So let's open the command and run the run, right? Here is it. You can also access that option from there as well. Okay, so now let's move to the bottom, and here it is, right? So let's first simulate with the people with blur vision. Okay, so this is how a user with blur vision will view your website, right? So you might be seeing that the few core elements are not that visible to the user, right? So you can perform other disabilities as well and try to make your web page more accessible to everyone, right? And one more thing you must make sure, that is this, right? Here in this accessibility and at particular contrast, it's showing us the accidentally mark warning symbol, right? So you can also address this issue. Okay, for this example I'm going to do this here, just making it more darker shade. And let's see now. Now there is no exclamatory symbol about the same. So these are just basics introduction about the fixing low contrast in a web page, and you can also learn more about in this activity. So there are just 5 steps and you can go through all the resources and perform this video as well, right? And that's all. Okay, so thank you for joining me in this build for everyone session. Now you can claim your developer bandages by simply scanning this QR code. It will be linked with your Google developer profile, and you can showcase it to your social media profile as well. Make sure to tag me as well if you want to. And okay, so if you have any other question regarding this session, make sure you follow us on Twitter and tag GDG Jammu with hashtag build for everyone, hashtag GDG Jammu, right? So I hope you like this session, and I have an exciting news for all of you. We have a new event at IIT Jammu. It will be an offline event, and I request all who are interested to scan this QR code and get your tickets for the same. Okay, so thank you everyone. Thank you for joining me. See you soon. Have a nice day.